Yeah, this your girl Ray doing another video real quick now in Fort Westchester County, New York. We are in the house. And we are doing another upload. This will probably be my last upload for today. But what I want to talk about is what goes on in the South Carolina Department of Corrections. The yard control movement policy is in place. I'm still living under that one system because when I move around on the streets, going wherever I have to go, I time myself. What time do I need to leave? What time I'm going to arrive? And what I do while I'm there. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about the sexual abuse that's going on in these prisons. Now, I remember when I was an inmate at Leith Correctional. Leith. It's where all my problems with the male authorities came in. Because we had a warden, Warden Basil, and he was very strict. He wanted the officers to run the prison like he wanted it to be run. But little did he know, a lot of his officers were having sexual relations with different female inmates. See, when I did my time in South Carolina, I did time with so many different women. But there was one woman in particular, and the spotlight used to always be on her. Oh, she had a lot of showing because of her crime and her sentence. I'm talking about Susan Smith. I'm talking about her. I met her in 1995 at the Women's Center. It was my first day in prison. And Susan Smith had came to the back door of the reception center, you know, where you get your clothing and your inmate ID number and all this other bullshit. And I said to her, I said, what are you doing on the fucking compound? She said, well, I need to be out on the compound, and I don't care what you say, Ray. You can get in a lot of trouble just by even addressing me. And she was right, because a lot of the inmates that used to attack Susan Smith physically always ended up on lockup for 6 months, losing good time, losing their state pay. Yes, I remember. I remember going to Leith Correctional. It was a bunch of sexual things going on there. When I left from Leith and went back to the Women's Center before 2001, I remember Susan Smith again. But this time, she was smaller. She hardly ever talked. Susan Smith used to write checks to different female inmates in the prison. Used to pay them to buy different crochet materials, needlepoint, cross-stitching. Susan Smith, regardless of how the world feels about her, is a lot of people that respected her gangster. Now, when I met her again, after so many years, she was still living at the Women's Center. She was on Cottage 4. I lived on Cottage 6. A lot of females from Cottage 6 and Cottage 1 used to have business deals going on with Susan Smith. And I remember one particular morning getting up, attending to my own business. The female captain that lived on the wing I lived on Cottage 6 said, Ray, I need you to take this kite to Cottage 4. Make sure Susan Smith gets this kite. I took it. I went down there to Cottage 4 and passed the kite off to another woman that was standing outside. She brought the kite in, gave it to Susan Smith. Susan Smith sent out a kite and a bag filled with goodies from the commissary. I took the bag, I took the kite, I went back on my building. I gave the bag and the kite to the floor captain, Barbara. Miss Barbara, I mean, she was something. She was really something. A very special young lady in my eyes. But she was hell on wheels. That thing would curse and throw a fit in a minute over little shit. But when I brought her back everything Susan Smith sent through me, Miss Barbara went into the bag. She looked at everything. She said, "Oh yeah, this is it." And you know what she did? She gave me a few things of Pepsis, soups, and a pack of cigarettes. And I left from the building to go spend time with my girlfriend, Nora. I was dating a woman named Nora. And I remember the yard used to be open. At the Women's Center, the yard used to be open. We would go out there, talk to our friends, shoot the shit with our girlfriends. And I remember one particular night, the yard stayed open all night. The yard was supposed to have been closed around 5:30 that afternoon, but it stayed open. You know why? Because Susan Smith was dating Captain Rowe at the time. Captain Rowe. And I remember when I was dating a Mexican chick named Marisol. And I said, why is everybody dealing with Susan Smith like that? She said, because Susan Smith has money. She has influence. Even though she's in a bad light, the light is shining bad on her. When I started dating Nora, same thing. She said the same thing. Both of these women used to deal with Susan Smith. Both of these women used to get money from Susan Smith. It was a lot of sexual abuse because I remember, it's just like today, I don't feel good. I don't feel good at all. So what do? I go and take me a Tylenol. I might drink some tea. I might lay down again. But if I was in prison and I had went to medical and complained about having a cold, they would give me the CTM prescription. But then before you left that office, that medical office, the doctor had to come into the room. And he used to always say, take your clothes off, get on the table, the examination table. And he used to always do that. I remember one time I went to the dentist. And before I left out of that medical facility, the doctor would come into that room and say, well, I need to do a pap smear on you. He used to always do that. So a lot of people don't realize what's going on in the prison system. A lot of the COs, male and female, would be having sexual relations with inmates. Put money on their books. There was one lady I was roommates with. We called her C. I already know what her real name is. We call her C. And C was being involved with another correctional officer. And C had different girlfriends on different buildings. I said, God damn, C. But C was so real about her shit. I couldn't do nothing but respect her gangster. But I remember being roommates with her, and they used to always shake us down. Come in outside and tear up everything, looking for contraband and this other bullshit. I'm getting upset again. I need to calm down. But yeah, there's a lot of sexual stuff going on in the prison system. State Park was the only prison institute that had male and female inmates living at that one prison. Right here in South Carolina. But when Michael Moore was the director over the prison system, he shut down State Park. He shut down the fact that we could actually wear our street clothing. He shut down a lot of shit. He made different policies. Like if you was a 5%er, you'd be on lockup to doomsday. If you was anything that the administration thought was going to be a security threat, you was on lockup. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. But this is going to be my last upload for today. Everyone to have an awesome day today. Have an awesome weekend. But I'm telling you what went down in prison. For the sex stuff going on, how the warden and the deputy warden was involved, how Major Thomas was involved with a lot of bullshit. A lot of bullshit in prison. Don't get me to telling it. Peace out. I'm going to give a complete shout out to my YouTube creators and my subscribers for listening to this video. If you're listening, just hit the like button and share the video. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to do anything else. But spread the word, spread the message about what's going on in the prison system. Spread it. Talk about it. Let's have conversations. It's only a matter of time before the whole world starts talking about all the stuff I'm talking about now. And there's other women on this YouTube app that had did time in prison. And they tell their stories. But each story is different. Nothing is going to be the same. We're not going to agree about different CEOs and all that. Me personally, I only had sexual relations with the women that I was involved with in prison for a long time. And I appreciate each and every one of them. That's the only thing I can say. It is what it is, 914. Peace.